there was really an uneven distribution of justice here. People of color in this country are treated differently than white people in this country. And it even comes down to the ways that we protest and how those protests are responded to. The protests taking place at Freedom Plaza were very much, against systemic racism, against the threat, honestly, of white supremacy in the White House. It was a largely peaceful scene that quickly shifted to violence and really fear. When Capitol Police came forward and started to pepper spray those who were attending them to make room and clear out the crowds so that President Trump could go to St. John's Episcopal Church downtown and take a photo as a show of strength of some sort against these protests. Being tear gassed and pepper gas is a really uncomfortable feeling, of course, and just a really violent thing to go through. And it was the way that this White House saw fit to clear out the crowds of people.
I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights.
The day that was supposed to be a ceremonial vote to take place in the House and Senate confirming the Electoral College. At the same time, there was a counter-protest against that very act that was led by the president and his supporters.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
We didn't see any pepper spray on Wednesday. We didn't see any riot gear. We didn't see a heavy police presence outside of the Capitol to even keep people from entering. This is a country that invests more in defense and military-grade equipment and law enforcement than the rest of the developed Western world combined. And yet we were unable to protect the seat of government where some of the most important lawmakers, including the vice president and vice president-elect, were present. They caused a lot of damage on the Capitol Hill grounds in an event, an insurrection that we have never seen the likes of before in American history. Capitol Police stood largely by, which caused a lot of issues and a lot of frustration. The Capitol Hill Police that totally dropped the ball here and maybe didn't realize that a number of their officers were largely complicit in this insurrection. You saw officers taking selfies with protesters. The proof is there that this is something that goes way deeper than one president and one call to arms.
It goes beyond the Capitol Police. It goes to the FBI. What was the shortcoming in their intelligence that they provided? It goes to the Department of Defense. How long did it take for them to respond or anticipate the need for the National Guard? It goes to many other elements of the executive branch, and I think we have to have a full review.
How'd you get it?
I didn't steal it. I bled on it because they were facing me and I couldn't see. And so I figured, well, I'm in her office. I got blood in her office. I'll put a quarter on her desk, even though she ain't worth it. And I left her a note on her desk. This says, Nancy Big O is here, you.
I spoke with Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP. One thing that he told me was that, this is something that's been building for decades and decades. And it's been an issue, and it's been a national security threat, this idea of white supremacist extremism. I think that this is a good opportunity, while we've heard so many calls over the last year now for justice. Here's an opportunity for an administration to actually administer justice. It'll really be incumbent upon President-elect, soon-to-be President Joe Biden, to administer justice equally.
No one can tell me that if had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol.
This was a president who said that he would be successful. I mean, part of his re-election pitch was that he was the law and order president, and he tried to make himself the enemy of protesters.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
And yet, when his supporters were protesting, that was something that made them very special, something that prompted him to say, "We love you." The priorities of the way that this administration views who is deserving of a law and order approach to their First Amendment activities and who isn't.